Hello YouTube, hello YTPC. This is the Gentleman Scholar. I just wanted to get a book report in before I went to work today. I have the shades all drawn and the lights on because it's going to be a scorcher day today. So I'm trying to keep it as cool as possible for my kitty when I go to work. Put the fan on too. Later on in the week I'm going to need air conditioning. So anyway, I know this is a book report, so I'm just briefly going to say this past Friday I did go up to Mount Washington and scatter Bill's ashes, and I posted some pictures on my thread if you want to go check those out. It was like being in the middle of a cloud when I released his mortal remains. So anyway, life goes on. My book report, and it is The Other Fab Four by Mary McGlory and Sylvia Saunders. These are two, the remarkable true story of the Liverbirds, Britain's first female rock band. And the story behind this is I bought this book at the Bookery in downtown Manchester to kind of throw some money at my local independent bookstore because I never get down there. These days I try to order from independent bookstores more than Amazon if I can help it. I've ordered 2 books from Gibson's bookstores from Concord, New Hampshire, right up the street. So I don't mind paying a little more money if it's supporting a local bookstore, independent bookstore. Anyway, this book, I'm going to read you the about the author's page right now. It gives you a good setup for the book. So it'll tell you what I'm talking about. Let's see. Sylvia Saunders and Mary McGlory, the authors. The Liverbirds was one of the world's first all-female rock and roll bands, consisting of bassist and vocalist Mary McGlory, drummer Sylvia Saunders, vocalist and guitarist Valerie Gell, and guitarist and songwriter Pamela Birch. The band started on the Mersey beat music scene in 1962. They achieved success in the UK and Europe, particularly in Germany, where they were a top attraction at the Star Club in Hamburg and reached number 5 in the German charts. The group was active for 5 years and in the time recorded 2 hit albums, toured stadiums, and played with the Kinks, the Rolling Stones, and Chuck Berry. Pamela died in 2009 and Valerie in 2016. Mary lives in Hamburg and Sylvia in Lancashire. Now, armed with that information, I have to say I really enjoyed this book, not least which was obviously the 5 years in Hamburg that they spent. It really spotlighted how much music, like how many bands were down there, especially from the UK, like cutting their teeth. Of course, the Beatles were there. It helped to springboard them into like British national fame and then world fame right after that. That was where they cut their teeth, where they perfected their craft. Them and a whole bunch of other bands, including the Liverbirds. In fact, maybe it was a snide remark, maybe it wasn't a snide remark, said to the four ladies backstage from John Lennon. They said, girls don't play guitars. Maybe that's what turbocharged their career because they were determined to prove him wrong. That could have been Lennon just, winding them up, or he could just generally have been experiencing one of his dickier sides of moods that day. But yeah, it was a really, really great memoir. I learned a lot, and it's pretty much a life, the sort of biography of the four members of the band. They start with their families in Liverpool because they all hark from Liverpool, and how they got the band together. And they didn't know how to play it all at first, so they just learned through sheer determination and because they wanted to be in a band. And that determination eventually took them down to Hamburg, where they learned their own craft, and they stayed there for 5 years. Just basically experiencing the whole music lifestyle. We're talking, having parties, recreational drugs, just living the rock and roll lifestyle. And after their 5-year heyday, they began to pair off and basically find their own paths in life. And the book goes well into that. And because of that, it makes it kind of bittersweet because when you're doing a memoir, you're taking a long look at a life, and then you zoom into these little points, these little pointillist highlights of the life that helps to define the whole, and that I really appreciate in reading a memoir, which made it kind of bittersweet when some of the band members started passing away and their husbands and everything like that. And having been through something like that recently, when they set the stage for just before someone passes away, they kind of incorporated that hush that something big is about to happen, some farewell is about to happen. So I really had a lot of fun with this book. And towards the end, as I was reading the past chapters, I'd end a chapter, I would take a break and scroll on my phone for a little bit because I didn't want it to end. And that's usually the sign of a very good book, if you don't want it to end. So, so if you want to learn a bit more about this the Mersey Beat music scene, especially as they all went down to Hamburg to ply their craft and learn their trade, check it out. I was very pleased with it. And the point with all reading, it's like either to entertain you or to teach you stuff, and this book did both. So I highly recommend it. And if you can get it from a local bookstore or a local independent bookstore, so much the better. Take care, folks, and we'll speak to you later.